Welcome back to English Compass. Have you ever practiced English for weeks and felt like nothing changed? You studied vocabulary, you listened to podcasts, you repeated sentences in the mirror, you followed the rules. But when you finally spoke to someone, you still hesitated. You still searched for words. You still felt like you were standing in the same place. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone. Most learners experience this exact moment. They work hard, they see no progress, they feel discouraged, they stop, and they tell themselves, maybe I am just not good at languages. But what if the problem is not your effort? What if the problem is your timeline? We live in a world that celebrates overnight success, viral moments, fast results, instant fluency. We scroll through videos of people who learned English in 3 months. We compare our messy progress to their polished highlights. And we forget a simple truth. Real growth does not happen in big jumps. It happens in tiny steps. Today, I will share a quiet rule that changed everything for me. It is called the 1% rule. It says, if you improve just 1% every day, you do not add up your progress, you multiply it. After 1 year, you are not 365% better. You are nearly 38 times better. You do not need to study for hours. You do not need perfect materials. You do not need sudden motivation. You only need to make tiny improvements every single day, listening for 2 extra minutes, correcting 1 small mistake, pausing before you speak, learning 1 useful phrase. These micro wins feel invisible, but they compound. They build neural pathways. They build confidence. They build fluency. In this story, you will learn why the brain rewards tiny gains. You will discover the exact math behind the 1% rule. You will see how to apply it to listening, speaking, vocabulary, and mindset, and you will get a clear, simple framework to start tomorrow. Before we begin, take a slow breath. Place your hand over your notebook. Say this out loud. I do not need massive breakthroughs. I need tiny daily wins. I trust the compound effect. I will improve 1% today. Good. Let's step into the quiet power of steady progress. The myth of the overnight, breakthrough and the reality of invisible growth. Let's begin with a story. Not about a famous teacher, not about a perfect student. About someone just like you. Her name was Elena. She moved to an English-speaking city 2 years ago. She bought textbooks. She downloaded apps. She joined online classes. She studied for 1 hour every evening after work. She was tired. She was distracted. But she pushed through. She believed that if she worked hard enough, she would suddenly click into fluency. Month 1 passed. She felt slower. Month 3 passed. She made mistakes in conversations. Month 6 passed. She could read articles, but still froze when speaking. She felt stuck. She blamed herself. I am not talented. I am wasting my time. She stopped practicing. She closed the books. She accepted silence. But here is what Elena did not see. Progress was already happening. It was just hiding beneath the surface. Language learning does not work like a light switch. You do not flip it on and suddenly understand everything. It works like a garden. You plant seeds, you water them, you wait. Nothing happens for days. Then weeks. Then one morning, green shoots appear. Not because they grew overnight, because they grew quietly beneath the soil while you thought nothing was happening. This is called latent growth. It is the invisible period where your brain is reorganizing, connecting, and strengthening. You cannot see it, but it is real, and it requires patience. Most learners quit during the latent phase because they expect linear progress. They think, if I study 1 hour today, I should feel 1 hour better. But learning is not linear. It is exponential. It stays flat for a long time. Then it curves upward. Suddenly, unexpectedly, like the ice cube analogy I mentioned before, heat it from 25 to 31 degrees, still solid. At 32, it melts. The last degree did not do all the work. All the previous degrees prepared it. Elena's brain was heating up. Every podcast she half understood. Every sentence she struggled to form. Every mistake she corrected. They were adding heat. She just could not see the melt yet. For you, as an English learner, this is a crucial mindset shift. Stop measuring progress by how you feel today. Start measuring it by what you do consistently. Fluency is not a destination you reach. It is a direction you walk. Every tiny step moves you forward, even when you cannot see the distance. I remember a moment that changed my own view of progress. I was tracking my listening practice for 90 days. Day 1 to day 60 felt identical. I understood 40% of a podcast. I paused. I rewound. I felt frustrated. I almost quit. But I decided to track differently. Instead of asking, "Am I fluent yet?" I asked, "Did I catch one more word today than yesterday?" Sometimes the answer was yes, sometimes no. But I kept going. On day 74, something shifted. I listened to the same podcast. I did not pause. I did not rewind. I understood 70%. The melt happened, not because of one day, because of 73 days of invisible heating. Vocabulary in context. Listen to these 5 phrases. They will anchor today's framework. Latent growth, progress that happens beneath the surface before becoming visible. Linear expectation, the false belief that effort should produce immediate, equal results. Exponential curve, a pattern where progress stays flat, then rises sharply over time. Invisible heating, the quiet accumulation of small efforts that prepare a breakthrough. Consistent direction, moving forward steadily, even when the pace feels slow. Repeat after me. Latent growth. Linear expectation. Exponential curve. Invisible heating. Consistent direction. Good. Keep these in mind. They replace the myth of fast results with the reality of steady accumulation. Grammar focus, past simple versus present, perfect for progress tracking. Notice how I describe Elena's journey and your current path. She studied every day. She felt stuck. Past simple, completed actions in a finished period. Her brain has been reorganizing. The progress has been building. Present perfect continuous, actions starting in the past and continuing now. We use these tenses to separate old struggles from ongoing growth. Repeat after me. I practiced daily. I felt frustrated. My listening has been improving. My confidence has been growing. I tracked my effort. My brain has been adapting. Perfect. You are practicing narrative grammar that honors both past effort and present progress. The math of marginal gains, how 1% compounds. Now, let's look at the actual rule. Where does it come from? Why does it work? The 1% rule is not magic. It is mathematics. It comes from a concept called marginal gains. It was famously used by British cycling coach Dave Brailsford. He did not try to improve the team by 10% overnight. He looked for tiny improvements everywhere: better pillows for sleep, hand wash to avoid illness, lighter bike tires, better massage gel. Each change gave 1% better performance. Alone, they seemed meaningless. Together, they won Olympic gold. In language learning, the math is identical. If you improve your English by just 1% every day, the formula looks like this: 1.0, 1 times 1.0, 1 times 1.01. Repeated 365 times. The result? 37.78. You become nearly 38 times better in 1 year. Now, look at the opposite. If you decline by 1% every day, if you skip practice, if you avoid speaking, if you let fear win, the formula is 0.99 times 0.99 times 0.99. Repeated 365 times. The result? 0.03. You lose almost everything, not because you made a huge mistake, because you let tiny neglect compound. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. 1% is not about studying harder. It is about showing up smarter. It is about making one tiny adjustment that feels almost too small to notice. But over time, those adjustments multiply. Let's translate this into real English practice. What does 1% look like? Listening to 1 extra minute of a podcast without pausing, correcting 1 recurring grammar mistake instead of ignoring it, pausing for 1 second before answering to choose clearer words. Learning one useful phrase instead of memorizing 10 random words. Writing one sentence about your day in English instead of avoiding it. None of these feel dramatic. None of them guarantee fluency tomorrow, but each one adds heat to the ice cube. Each one strengthens a neural pathway. Each one shifts your brain 1 degree closer to the melt. The problem is that our brains are wired for immediate reward. We want to see results today. When we do not, we assume the effort failed. But compounding does not reward speed. It rewards patience. It rewards repetition. It rewards the quiet decision to continue when progress feels invisible. I once coached a learner who struggled with pronunciation. He tried to fix his accent in 1 month. He recorded himself daily. He felt frustrated. He compared his voice to native speakers. He wanted to quit. I asked him to change the goal. Instead of perfect accent, I said, improve one sound by 1%. He chose the 88th sound. He practiced it for 30 seconds daily. He did not aim for perfection. He aimed for tiny adjustment. After 3 months, his speech sounded noticeably clearer, not because he transformed overnight, because his brain adapted slowly, consistently, without pressure. This is the 1% mindset. Stop chasing breakthroughs. Start building margins. Marginal gains feel small, but they compound into mastery. They turn hesitation into flow. They turn confusion into clarity. They turn silence into steady speech. Speaking practice. Compounding affirmations. Pause the video. Listen carefully. Repeat exactly after me. Match the calm, steady tone. I do not need giant leaps. I need tiny steps. 1% today becomes 30% tomorrow. I trust the quiet math of daily improvement. Again, slower. Let the rhythm settle. I do not need giant leaps. I need tiny steps. 1% today becomes 30% tomorrow. I trust the quiet math of daily improvement. Good. You are training your brain to value consistency over intensity. Vocabulary in context. Marginal gains. Tiny improvements that multiply when combined over time. Neural pathway, brain connections that strengthen with repeated practice. Immediate reward bias. The human tendency to prefer quick results over long-term growth. Quiet accumulation, the slow, steady gathering of small efforts that lead to mastery. Consistency multiplier, the mathematical effect of repeating small actions daily. Repeat after me. Marginal gains. Neural pathway. Immediate reward bias. Quiet accumulation. Consistency multiplier. You are learning the science behind sustainable fluency. Grammar note. Present perfect continuous for ongoing compounding. Notice how I describe sustained improvement. Your brain has been adapting to English rhythm. You have been building tiny margins daily. The progress has been compounding beneath the surface. Present perfect continuous emphasizes duration and invisible growth. It connects past effort to present potential. Repeat after me. I have been practicing 1% daily. My listening has been improving steadily. My confidence has been growing through repetition. Excellent. You are practicing grammar that tracks real long-term transformation. The 4 tiny levers. Applying 1% to English. Theory is powerful, but practice is transformative. Let's look at exactly how to apply the 1% rule to your English routine. You do not need to overhaul your life. You only need 4 tiny levers. Each one takes minutes. Each one compounds. Lever 1. 1% better listening. Most learners listen passively. They play audio in the background. They expect comprehension to happen automatically, but active listening requires micro-adjustments. Start by improving 1%. Listen to one sentence twice instead of once. Focus only on stressed words, not every syllable. Write down one new phrase instead of 5. Pause for 2 seconds to repeat what you heard. This tiny shift trains your ear to catch patterns, not panic over gaps. When you listen with intention, comprehension accelerates naturally. Lever 2. 1% better speaking. Speaking anxiety comes from trying to be perfect. The 1% approach removes that pressure. Improve by pausing for 1 second before answering, using one bridge phrase instead of filling silence with correcting one mistake per conversation instead of all of them, speaking 3 clear sentences instead of 10 rushed ones. Clarity beats speed, pauses beat panic. 1 adjusted phrase beats 10 forgotten ones. This lever builds conversational control, not perfection. Lever 3. 1%. Better vocabulary retention. Memorizing lists fails because it lacks context. Improve retention by 1%. Link 1 new word to a personal memory. Write 1 example sentence using the word. Review 1 old word from last week. Use the new word in a real message or thought today. Memory thrives on connection, not repetition. When you attach vocabulary to experience, it sticks. When you review strategically, it stays. Lever 4. 1%. Better recovery. Mindset. Mistakes are inevitable. Your reaction to them determines progress. Improve by smiling softly when you forget a word instead of freezing, saying, "Let me rephrase that," instead of apologizing excessively. Tracking 1 recovery per session instead of counting errors. Celebrating 1 attempt instead of judging the outcome. Recovery is fluency in action. When you normalize hesitation, fear loses power. When you treat mistakes as data, progress accelerates. I remember a learner who applied all 4 levers simultaneously. She did not study longer, she studied smarter. She listened to 1 podcast sentence twice. She paused before answering questions. She linked new words to her daily commute. She celebrated every recovery phrase. After 90 days, her teacher noticed a dramatic shift. Her speech was calmer. Her listening was sharper. Her vocabulary felt natural, not because she changed everything, because she changed tiny things. Consistently. Interactive practice, micro-adjustment drill. Pause the video. Choose 1 lever to apply today. Say your plan out loud. Today, I will improve listening by. Today, I will improve speaking by. Today, I will improve vocabulary by. Today, I will improve recovery by. Example. Today, I will improve listening by focusing on stressed words. Today, I will improve speaking by pausing 1 second before answering. Speak it clearly. Make it specific. Good. You are designing marginal gains. Vocabulary in context. Micro-adjustment, a tiny targeted change that improves overall performance. Conversational control, the ability to manage pace, pauses, and flow during speech. Contextual retention, remembering vocabulary through personal connection and usage. Recovery normalization, treating mistakes as expected steps, not failures. Strategic review, revisiting material intentionally, not randomly. Repeat after me, micro-adjustment, conversational control, contextual retention, recovery normalization, strategic review. You are building precision into your practice. Grammar focus, conditionals for habit planning. Notice how I frame cause and effect. If you pause before answering, you will choose clearer words. If you link vocabulary to memory, it will stick longer. If you celebrate 1 attempt, you will reduce fear. First conditionals show realistic outcomes of small actions. They are perfect for self-coaching and habit design. Repeat after me. If I listen twice, I will catch more patterns. If I use 1 bridge phrase, I will maintain flow. If I track 1 recovery, I will build confidence. Perfect. You are practicing logical structure that supports daily improvement. Your 1% daily framework. Inspiration becomes transformation through routine. Here is your 4-step 1% daily framework. It applies marginal gains to your English practice. It is simple. It is measurable. It works. Step 1. The micro-target. Choose 1 lever. Each morning, select only 1 lever to focus on, not all 4. 1. Example. Today, I will improve speaking by pausing before answering. Write it down. Keep it visible. Single focus prevents overwhelm. It guarantees execution. Step 2. The tiny action. Execute in 5 minutes. Perform the micro adjustment in a short contained block. Listen to one sentence twice. Speak 3 clear sentences. Link 1 word to memory. Practice 1 recovery phrase. Do not extend the session. 5 minutes is enough. Consistency matters more than duration. Step 3. The visual log. Track the 1%. Use a simple calendar or app. Mark a check for completion. Do not grade your performance, only track presence. The streak builds psychological momentum. The visual proof replaces doubt with evidence. Step 4. The evening reflection. Acknowledge the margin. Before bed, spend 2 minutes reviewing. Ask, what tiny improvement did I make today? Write 1 sentence. I paused before answering. It felt calmer. Or, I linked 1 word to my commute. I remembered it easily. This reinforces identity. It proves progress is happening. Total time, 10 minutes daily, focused, measurable, sustainable. This framework replaces scattered effort with targeted growth. It builds fluency through margins, not miracles. Daily template practice. Pause the video. Fill this template out loud. Today's micro target is, I will execute it by, I will track it by, tonight I will reflect on. Example. Today's micro target is listening. I will execute it by repeating 1 stressed phrase. I will track it by marking my calendar. Tonight, I will reflect on how it felt clearer. Say it twice. Clear, committed, realistic. Vocabulary in context. Micro-target, a single, specific focus for daily practice. Contained block, a short defined period for execution without extension. Visual proof, tangible evidence that reinforces habit consistency. Identity reinforcement, daily acknowledgement that aligns action with self-image. Repeat after me, micro-target. Contained block, visual proof, identity reinforcement. You are engineering progress through precision. Grammar focus, future with will for commitment and tracking. Notice how I frame daily promises. I will choose 1 lever today. I will execute it in 5 minutes. I will mark my calendar without grading. Will expresses determination and clear intention. It strengthens your resolve. Repeat after me. I will focus on 1 tiny improvement. I will track my presence, not my perfection. I will acknowledge the margin I created today. Excellent. You are programming your mind for consistent execution. Your 21-day margin challenge. You do not need to study harder. You do not need to chase breakthroughs. You do not need to compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. You only need to improve 1% today. Listen twice. Pause once. Link 1 word. Celebrate 1 recovery. These margins feel small, but they compound. They build beneath the surface. They heat the ice cube. They curve the graph. They turn hesitation into flow. They turn confusion into clarity. They turn silence into steady speech. Start today. Choose 1 lever. Execute in 5 minutes. Track your presence. Reflect on the margin. Let your English practice become a quiet accumulation of tiny wins. Let your progress become a compound curve, not a flat line. I invite you to a 21-day challenge. Follow the 1% daily framework. Pick 1 target. Execute briefly. Log consistently. Reflect gently. Notice the hesitation shrink. Notice the clarity grow. Notice English become a natural rhythm, not a stressful task. When you are ready, comment below. Day 1. I choose 1%. I trust the compound curve. I improve quietly. I keep going. I will read every comment. I will reply to your journey. This channel is not just for learners. It is for margin builders. And you are building something lasting. Subscribe to English Compass for more stories, graded listening practice, and step-by-step fluency systems. Turn on notifications. Your next breakthrough is not in a longer study session, it is in your next tiny adjustment. Before you go, place your hand over your heart. Repeat this final line with me. I do not chase overnight success. I build daily margins. I improve 1%. I trust the curve. My progress is quiet. My results are massive. See you tomorrow. Keep adjusting, keep compounding, keep growing. The small steps are yours.